The best player in baseball, Ronald Acuña Jr., will officially miss the rest of the season. Not to worry, though. Matt and I have you covered with some great replacements on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, you hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly to Matt and I, guys, join us on the Subtext platform. The link to our Subtext is in the bio wherever you're listening or watching, or available on any of our social media platforms. Through Subtext, it's a direct messaging right to your phone. You guys get alerts like injury alerts, like the Acuña one. You guys get a whole lot more than we can offer than in this 30-minute podcast. And guys, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And then this is super fun one. Dive into the ultimate fantasy baseball experience with our exclusive Locked On Fantasy Baseball hat giveaway. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Matt and I are sporting them right now. You can score big by simply sharing any of our posts on X or Instagram. Each share earns you an entry into the draw. The more you share, the greater your chances to win. Don't miss out. The drawing will be held on June 14th. Get in the game now. And today starts with like a very, somber note in the sense of we lose one of the best players in baseball. And guys, even if like you're, not a Braves fan or an Acuña fan, it just stinks to see, a guy go down again and, lose time to an injury like this. But you know what, Matt, I know Acuña is one of your favorite players. So why don't you start breaking it down here for us?
First off, I want to say that 2024 fantasy baseball sucks because I feel like the MLB has ran out of IL slots. Like, I feel like they've hit their limit. They need to stop. But anyway, so like Ronald Acuña going down, thank God it wasn't the same knee. That's one of the biggest takeaways for me. I still think that like in dynasty or keeper leagues, like obviously he's not like a guy you should really turn around and go and trade, like unless you're in a position to win, right? Like if your team is set up to the point where like, okay, I have a shot at winning. And it may take, this may be your only year to do it because it's very hard to get a championship to begin with. So ultimately, go ahead and trade him if you need be. But if you can hold him, you could spare him, then I would. And I just keep him on that IL. I really would not like it. But here's the other side of this right now that Ronald Acuña is gone. I think this opens up a window for Michael Harris to take a step forward and get higher in the lineup. So if he could, lead off again, be the leadoff hitter against lefties or, slide down into the second slot, I feel like Harris now has all the upside that we've all hoped and wanted for and takes that step forward. So go and try and acquire Harris right now, in my opinion, and see if you can get him on the cheap since he's kind of been like, excuse me.
Yeah, all right there, brother. I think Matt needs to take a sip of the haterade real quick there. But Matt, that's a strong point there with Harris. I think they're gonna do the platoon split. Harris is gonna hit first on some days, and then Albies is gonna get obviously those other days there at the leadoff spot. But either way, I think if you can go out there and you can get any of these other Braves on the cheap, because obviously these guys are going to have to make up for Acuña's lack in the lineup, and we got two specific Braves that we're going to break down later in the episode, so you're going to want to make sure you stay locked on for that. But I actually wanted to give you guys some like awesome information if you are an Acuña owner. So I'm an Acuña owner myself in a dynasty league, and I actually pulled off an Acuña trade myself today. And I got a haul. If you can go out there and get a haul like this, I personally traded Ronald Acuña Jr. for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Tyler Glasnow. And I think if you can get a trade done like that right now, you go out and get it done. But you don't sell super cheap. You don't sell 50 cents on the dollar on a guy like Acuña. Honestly, I think a trade like that for me is like about 85 cents on the dollar for Acuña. So I'm around there. If you can get like 75% cents on the dollar for him, I think you ought to make those trades. Those make sense. And that's where, because is he going to be the same guy? Is he going to come back at almost 28 years old and still be able to steal 70 bases on two bad knees? Are the Braves going to let him do that? I think they're going to want the longevity from, one of the best players in all of baseball in Acuña. So I think it's just a tough situation right now in dynasty leagues.
I mean, to say that, are they going to let him run? I mean, they let him run right after he had the first ACL, and I'll take that production just coming back off of it.
Of course.
When was that? 2022, right? So, like, he had 71 runs and, 467 at bats. He had the 24 doubles. He had 15 bombs, 50 ribs, 29 stolen bases still. Dude's super fast, and he batted 266, and then next year he won the MVP. So, like, I think Acuña, that even if he does that, he's worth whatever you're going to give up. Like, whatever you're going to, keep or not get, essentially, or go and acquire too, like, right? So, like, you're on the other hand. So, like, a trade that I put out there, because I'm in a win now situation. I have a loaded team. And, I went out there and I'm like, yeah, all right. So I'll give you Acuña and you give me Ozzie Albies, Corbin Carroll, and Snell. All underperformers right now, guys that aren't, really living up to their potential. Obviously have hype, but then they're not Ronald Acuña. Ronald Acuña will run laps around all of them except maybe Carroll, but he's only done it once. You're going to get a bona fide starter. So I think that's like a fair asking price and kind of a buy low on Carroll as well.
But yeah, man, I think that's definitely like an ask you can go out there and go for. Might be a little bit might be a little bit much in my opinion. But hey, whatever you can get done, if you can pull off a big trade like that, I think that's what you got to do right now. Go out there and at least start there, and then even throw out. If your league has like a group chat or a message board or something like that, say, hey, he's available. I'm shopping him, and then just make people compete against each other, throw the trade offers out there and kind of see what you can get done. But let's move into some of the replacements. Let's at least get one out of the way. Let's talk about his teammate, Adam Duvall. I think Adam Duvall is somebody that is going to step in and play every day now. We know what Adam Duvall is about. He's hit 38 home runs before 2021. 21 homers last year, 247 batting average, and that was only 92 games with Boston. We know Adam Duvall gets hurt. But you know what? Hits the ball very, very hard. And in that Braves lineup, he can wind up with a lot of RBIs. So if you get, a 230-ish batting average with a lot of power, a lot of RBIs and Adam Duvall, I definitely think that's going to help you along the way here. And right now, Mr. Duvall is only owned in 5% of leagues. So that's literally everywhere. I think by the time you guys listen to this on Tuesday morning, he might be up to 20% owned, 15%, but at least, go out there and give a look for Adam Duvall.
I mean, yeah, the guy's performing. Why not pick him up? But you did a great job. I don't think I even need to add anything. We can save some time. Let's move on to the next guy here. Let's talk about Jared Kelenic, or Kelenic, however we say this.
Kelenic.
So, yeah, there we go. Got it the second time. So, obviously he had that hot spring. Kind of thought he was going to come up and just be the guy, right? And that we've been waiting for. But unfortunately, he didn't live up to that. But this last week was kind of encouraging, right? He had, 20 at-bats. He batted 350. He had 4 runs, a bomb, and 2 ribs. Maybe this is the start of it. Maybe the new opportunity that he's going to have can get us going here and possibly say, hey, I'm ready to perform. He is making good hard contact. He is finding the sweet spot. The bat speed is pretty decent. The average exit velocity is not, even though it's on the blue side on Savant, it actually is pretty decent. Like, it's only about 0.4 miles per hour off of Luis Roberts' average exit velocity. So, those are things that are kind of key that, okay, 0.3 more and he's in the red essentially, and we're okay here. So I think Kelenic still has the measurables to do so. So I think he's definitely worth an add right now. I think at 22% owned.
Yeah, man, you're spot on here with Kelenic, former top prospect in all of baseball. Just a guy that there's a different kind of pressure on him, right? He never performed under the pressure of being one of the top prospects, next guy up. He never performed under that kind of pressure, right? But this is a different kind of pressure. This is, hey, my team needs me. My team needs me to step up here. And you know what? Yesterday in the game where, he wasn't even supposed to play, he went 3 for 4 with 3 runs. I think this is going to say something about Kelnick's character and might honestly tell us the guy he's going to be for the rest of his career. I know he's still only 24 years old, but hey, you're in a big spot right now, and you got to perform in the bigs. You just come over to the Atlanta Braves, their best guy goes down, and you're going to be playing every day now. What are you going to do? Are you really going to step up and be that guy? Matt said, there's some stuff in the underlying stuff that looks good. There's some stuff in the underlying stuff that looks really bad. I think we do the speculative pick him up. We see where this goes and kind of ride the wave here with Kelnick. And then if we have to drop him. But he's not somebody that I'm going to let my opponent use against me. But before we move on here and talk about some great Ronald Acuña placements, we got some guys at other positions as well and some starting pitchers. We have a quick ad for you. That instant confidence boost you get from an outfit that makes you look really good. That's what I get with Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, size, and budget, and they do all the shopping for you. It's the easiest way to upgrade your wardrobe this season. Easily upgrade your wardrobe this year with a professional stylist that helps you find a new on-trend favorite that will work perfect for you. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget. Also give them some preferences. Then I order boxes when I want and how I want with no subscription required. And they send 5 pieces just for me. And then they also give outfit recommendations, pro styling service advice, and that really works well. Then you can, keep what works for you, send back the rest. And my stylist, just always sends the right pieces. So the fit is on point. It's like my stylist has ESP. I don't know how they do it, but they just get me, that style that makes you feel as good as you can. Get started today at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $20 off your first fix. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $20 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. You must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch over to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for your every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And then once again, we're introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As the season continues to unfold, you can rely on us for dynamic content, get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where the path to your victories begins. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. Whew, my brother, as always, that is a lot. So I'm going to pass off the next guy to you, sir.
All right, no doubt. You did very well there, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, so we're going to go with Mr. Nolan Gorman here. Gorman, honestly, is doing exactly what I pretty much thought he would do, right? He has 8 home runs through 152 at-bats. He has 20 runs, 21 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting .217. Gorman by no means has never showed out that he has the ability to hit for average. But it is what it is. But you're losing out on power by possibly losing Ronald Acuña. Maybe you just didn't draft guys that hit and aren't getting power. Well, Gorman's somebody you can pick up. He's not your average prototypical second baseman where, it's lower in the home runs area and, they steal a whole bunch of bases. So you can go out, put Nolan Gorman in 2 and make up for the lackluster of power. So Nolan Gorman is somebody I definitely want to get on my teams. I love the kid in terms of that outside of his batting average. He's hitting the ball, pretty hard, obviously. He gets
really hard.
Under it. Yeah, really hard. But honestly, he always gets the sweet spot. He always barrels up, and he's just making contact. This dude is just really good at hitting the ball over the fence. So go and add Nolan Gorman now.
Yeah, with Gorman, on the season, he's not hitting the ball particularly hard, but he's hitting the ball hard particularly recently. Over his last, I think it's like almost like the last month, he's really just been crushing the ball, and that's the kind of guy he is. He goes on streaks like this, and you just ride the wave while he's hot. He's up to 57% owned, just a name that I really wanted to talk about today. Like I said, if you're losing Acuña, you might not be able to replace him with the one specific player, but if you can get someone that could tap into the power, you can find someone that can get you a little bit of speed. That's what we're trying to do here today, and I think second and third, where Gorman's eligible on Yahoo is definitely one of those spots where you can, maybe replace Acuña a little bit. But hey, even if you need a second and third baseman, a guy like Gorman right now while he's hot, you definitely ride that wave. And you know who he reminds me of, Matt? I don't know if you remember, but if anyone remembers, Dan Uggla, another big second baseman that could just hit for a lot of power. So I think that's what, Gorman's career might, shake out like. Might not be as good as Uggla ultimately was, but, Nolan Gorman's pretty good. So I think we could look his way for, quick ad. Let's keep things pushing here. Let's talk about his teammate, actually. Let's talk Alec Burleson. Now, Alec Burleson's somebody that I really like. Had a little bit of prospect pedigree, and he's been hitting second the last couple of games over there in St. Louis. So things are looking up with a 309 batting average, 14 runs, 5 homers, 17 RBIs, and 2 steals for Burleson on the season. Up to 48% owned, eligible at first and outfield on Yahoo. I just really like the kid, you juice the orange here while he's performing if he doesn't pan out. But like I said, this kid's a kid who, was pretty good in the minors, doesn't have the buzziest name as far as, prospect pedigree, but, hit 331 in AAA not last year, 2002, 109 games, 25 doubles, 20 homers, 87 RBIs. Last year, didn't have as much pop with only, 8 homers in the bigs across 107 games, hit 244, but was 24 years old. Some prospects, progress at other, speeds. And, Burleson didn't really pick it up, too easily, but it looks like he's finding his stride nicely this year. I think we can pick him up, ride the wave, see where the thing goes. Not super excited about him, but I think, like I said, just see where the thing goes with the kid.
Yeah, good job, man. I'm just gonna move on. Just save time, cover all the names today. Let's
Yes,
talk
sir.
about Jake. Let's talk about Jake Myers. Jake Myers of the Houston Astros, 29% owned. Jake had a really monster 2 weeks, and specifically last week. Between the last 2 weeks, he had 8 runs, 3 bombs, 9 ribs, a stolen base, batting 341. Even last week, where he had just 3 runs, a bomb, 3 ribs, batting 250. I'm not mad at that stat line. Obviously, batting average just hasn't been his thing, but I think he might be able to fix it a little bit and go from there. But right now, at least in the short term, let's add him while he's still hot and ride the wave, and then drop him if he tends to fall off, which, I mean, obviously he probably will. It is what it is when it comes to Jake Myers. He's not a guy that I'm looking to keep all year. So add him while he's hot, ride the wave, and see you later.
Yeah, 28 years old, Matt. You're right on point with Myers. Even though a lot of the underlying stuff is pretty sexy, like they really believe in the batting average, they really believe in the speed. So I think there's some things with Myers that might be sticky, but 28 years old, I'm not buying that breakout right now with Myers. So he is a little bit more towards the back end of the guys we're talking about today as far as bats go. 29% owned for Myers, and once again, he plays for the Houston Astros. If you're not familiar with them. Let's move on to our last bat of the day before we give you some really good pitching names. And you guys are definitely going to want to stick around for those pitching names because I promise you they are guys you're going to want to add to your teams. But let's talk about Wilyer Abreu real quick of the Boston Red Sox. Somebody that we've talked about a bit on this podcast. I really like what he brings to the table. 284 batting average, 24 runs, 5 homers, 21 RBI, 7 steals. This is the guy. This is the Ronald Acuña light replacement for me. Out of all the names that we're talking about today, I'd prioritize Wilyer Abreu just because I really like the skill set he brings to the table. He was very successful in his 28 games in the bigs last year. Has a little bit of prospect pedigree, not the sexiest name, but you know what, had 22 homers and 8 steals in the minors in 2023 with 59 walks to 74 strikeouts. So has been pretty good down there as well. He's kind of been bouncing around in the lineup between second and sixth, but a lot more second lately, especially. So Wilyer Abreu is just a guy, like I said, I'm really digging on. Matt, did I say his ownership? His ownership is 44% on Yahoo. So he's out there in almost half, or a little bit more than half the league. So right now, go and check. Maybe pause the podcast moment with him.
Yeah, no, he's a solid pickup this week. Um, you pretty much covered everything. I really don't need to repeat anything, which is wonderful. So we're good here. I think that before we move on to the next guy. We start talking pitchers. We'll be right back after this. Gametime is authorized ticket marketplace for NBA, which makes getting the playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Gametime app actually go down as it gets closer to the tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Last-minute deals saving up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theaters, and so much more. You know, save more with exclusive in-app deals, seat selections ahead of your game or event. Save even more when you choose a section and let Gametime choose the seat for you. All in pricing, toggling this feature shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get the panoramic view right from your seat so you can actually see what you're looking at, which is awesome. The lowest price is guaranteed, or Gametime will give you 110% of the money back. All right. That is a sweet deal. They are seriously on par with their stuff and they care about their customers. Gametime ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem and use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right. And that was a lot. So yeah, Dom, please just get this next guy.
Yeah, of course. I'm actually super, super excited to talk about this guy. We talked about a little bit, not a lot. Taj Mahal Bradley. Talked about him a lot last year. One of the best nicknames in baseball. And this kid's just really, really talented. He has really, really good stuff. Another one of those, really good Rays pitchers on their team. They've done so good with pitching over the last few years. And this kid has major, major prospect pedigree. If you haven't heard from him, he's been really, really good pretty much at every step in the minors. Had a little blimp in 2023. And then when he got called up, last year, just a lot of ups and downs. He was performing really well. They sent him down, called him back up, performed bad in the minors when he got sent back down, got called back up, really performed, very mediocrely down the stretch. And I just know this kid's going to be a star in this league sooner or later. Once again, I'm talking about Taj Bradley, starting pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. And he's made a little bit of adjustments when it comes to his repertoire this year, right? He's throwing the split finger a little bit more than the curve when it was vice versa last year. That seems to be working for him. But the biggest thing I see is that his cutter is getting hit a lot less. Last year, Bradley's cutter got hit at a 312 clip. This year, a 125 clip. So the pitch is performing very, very well for him. His fastball still not performing great when it comes to batting average. It's getting hit, at a 278 clip. But the run on the fastball is about average, so maybe that's doing it. When you see the run on his off speed stuff is actually really, really good. He should probably lean on that a little bit more. But his fastball is good as in the sense of velocity. It sits at about 96. So if he can ever work out, get the Nathan Eovaldi out of his fastball, that straightness, if you're not familiar with Mr. Nathan Eovaldi from back in the day, who did figure it out. I think Bradley could do the same, but on the year, 4 starts, 3.13 ERA, 23 innings, 29 strikeouts, only 6 walks, and 0.9 whip. The walks are down, which was something that, was a big problem with Bradley, and I just really love the kid. And right now he's actually still very severely under-owned at 49%. Should be 100% if you ask me. Matt, I don't know if you agree or not, though.
No, I completely do. This kid's great. I love him. Before the injury coming in, I honestly I had him as like a top 40, top 50 pitcher.
Yeah, me too.
So I think the upside is 100% there. Taj is going to be great. So seriously, like pause the podcast, go and add him because Taj is awesome. Like great take, Dom. Couldn't have done it any better.
I appreciate that.
Let's talk about Ryan Weathers. He's been making people weather the storm with him because he's just been smoking the cover off the ball right now. Like nobody's touching his stuff. Last 2 weeks through like 21 innings, he has 19 Ks, a .43 ERA, and a .62 whip. He's killing it. I mean, granted, this was against Arizona with, a struggling Corbin Carroll, Milwaukee, even Detroit, he kind of lit up and, didn't give up a run. Dodgers got a little bit off of him, 3 runs. But, he's been pretty good. He's had what, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I would say 2 really bad starts and 2 like, okay, he didn't give up 1 run, and this was actually like a pretty decent start. I think he has like somewhat of value and definitely short term, going into this week. I think he's going to match up probably against either the Texans, the Texas Rangers. I don't know why I said the football team, and then over the weekend, which honestly they've been kind of beatable, but at the same time, I mean, Corey Seager's just been hitting everything under the sun, so it may be a little bit tougher. But I think Weathers can go out there and handle it. The Miami pitchers are fantastic. Everything looks good about him right now. So I'm going to say Adam 25% owned.
Yeah, man, great take on Weathers. I actually remember when he came up with the Padres back in 2021, oddly enough, because he had a little bit of pedigree, as far as prospects went. Like his name had a little bit of buzz. Wasn't like a high end, but like people were talking about him. I know I picked him up and dropped him a bunch that year, and it's just funny to see him come back. And I was like, oh, Weathers is still only 24, so there might be something here with him because you know what, the fastball has taken a step forward this year, up a mile per hour on the fastball. And the difference a mile per hour makes from going from 95 miles an hour to 96 is crazy because Ryan Weathers' fastball last year was getting hit at a 350 clip. This year, the fastball only 259 batting average against it. So you really love to see that progression from Weathers at 24 years old. At 25% owned, I say snag him. I'm with you, Matt. Snag him right now while you can. But let's move on to another guy we've talked about a little bit this year, but it's still, why is he severely so under-owned? Andrew Abbott. I actually checked in one of my leagues today and saw Abbott was available. And I was like, what are we doing, guys? So I was like, we need to get him on my team now. 47% owned for Abbott. And he's just been nothing but stellar. Matt, I believe we even talked about him as recently as last week, but I wanted to talk about him. Guys, get him on our teams. Since we talked about him last, he only had a 7-inning start against the Diamondbacks where he struck out 4, gave up 1. No, I'm sorry. That was after we talked about him last week. That was before we talked about him last week. After we talked about him last week, San Diego, 7 innings, a win, 2 strikeouts, no earned runs, a .7 whip. Abbott's just been on point with the control this year through his 10 starts, 109 whip, 2.68 ERA, 57 innings, 43 strikeouts. Very Kyle Hendricks ish, where the control's looking really good, putting stuff where he wants it, not getting those strikeouts, which is okay. We spoke about why he's not getting those strikeouts last time we talked about him, but that's fine. I think he's just going to be super useful the rest of the way. Maybe not this good, but definitely useful. Get him on all your teams. Should be 100% on Andrew Abbott.
Dude, you took every word out of my mouth. I love Andrew Abbott. We go on about him, I think, every week until I can get his ownership up to 100%.
That's the thing, though, Matt. And you know what, guys? And we just need to get these guys on our teams, and that's why we keep bringing them up. And, we don't know who's the first time listening, and, maybe they didn't check out last week's episode or 2 weeks ago. So we're just making sure these good names are getting added.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like this is a guy you really don't want to overlook. The fact that he's out there in that many leagues, you need to go out and get him. Like, do not hesitate. Abbott's great, and there is possibly even another floor, another level where he gets to over a K per 9, and we're really enjoying Andrew Abbott. Like the dude did it in the minors. Now, yes, pitcher friendly parks and league, but I still think that there is that possibility. He could. I mean, not everybody comes in as their strikeout god. So, Abbott still has the potential to do so. If you've done it once, there's a possibility to do it in the bigs. But let's move on. I think we spent enough time, I think, over the last 3 weeks on him. Let's get this last guy in, Cole Irvin. Cole has been good, over, this last week, last outing essentially against Boston, went 5 innings, didn't give up a single run, 6 Ks, got the dub, high whip. He's more of like just a spot start kind of guy. I don't think there's really some long-term value for me, at least at 36% owned, 38% owned. When it comes to how I'm treating him he's got a good matchup, which he's playing Tampa this week. Lowe just went to the IL again. So I think that, you could say, hey, let's roll him out there. I think it'll be a pretty decent start for him and then just call it a day. Maybe see what his next start is the next week and then choose whether you're, keeping him or you're dropping him.
Yeah, I really like me some Cole Irvin. I remember back, in the Oakland days, when Cole Irvin was, like, I'll be honest, I don't really remember him with the Philly days. I remember him, like I said, those 2021 Oakland days where he was making a little bit of buzz and we were picking him up, dropping him. And, it's cool to see him really find a home here in Baltimore after last year. And, he does have 7 starts on the year, and I know for there was a little week and a half stretch where he went back to the bullpen for a little bit, or those short starts, whatever they may have been. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really following Cole Irvin too much, but like I said, 7 starts on the year. Most of them have been really good. 3.15 ERA, a 109 WHIP, 45 innings, 30 strikeouts, 38% owned here for Cole Irvin. Another name, if you missed out on the Taj Bradleys or the Andrew Abbotts, I think Cole Irvin is a suitable replacement. 4 wins on the year and through 7 starts too. I really like that for him, and just take the shot on him. I think there's something there. But Matt, anything else to add before we head out?
Honestly, no. I say, guys, do not lose hope. Even though you lost your number 1 pick, there's still ways to win. We're gonna get you there. Just stick around. Don't give up.
Yes, sir.
So with that, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Happy Memorial Day, and we'll be with you tomorrow where we start talking about trade for and away, and there's going to be a whole bunch coming your way. Have a great day, guys.
See ya.
Peace.